So this home is on flood irrigation, and so that means that they get semi-treated or partially treated water. I'm going to get out of the roadway here. And the water comes from this canal system. So where that IBC container is, that white thing, that is where the water comes, and then they fill it up, and then the water floods the yard. And I'll try to get out of the way of the sun here. And then the water percolates in, and it does deep root watering, and people can use that to have pecan trees or any other kind of beautiful trees, mulberry trees, whatever. So the water did come out of a flowing source that's semi-treated, and it did come onto your own personal property. But if it isn't your own personal property, first of all, you'd be trespassing if you access that water. And second of all, and most importantly, a lot of people that are in these rural areas have large pets. Large pets like dogs, goats, sheep, lambs, ostriches, horses, cattle. But even if they just have two little baby schnauzers like I have, that means that there's baby schnauzer shit and piss all over that lawn. The other thing you don't want in your water is standing water, because you're going to have lawn chemicals and you're going to have other things. So weed and feed, what's that, Roundup, and other stuff. So just because you see fresh standing water, that you got to think about what's on top of that grass. All right, guys, we're at a park. We're at Rio Vista Community Park, and I wanted to show you a couple of key water features, especially for people that are homeless that rely on water and don't have access to it. So the first thing is, you're seeing a lot of public drinking fountains kind of go by the wayside, or they're not operational, right? Because people don't trust them anymore, so they don't work. And the other thing that you're going to find is water systems that might be behind a locked gate, but if you can get in here, usually when you see water that just has one button, and this one's been shut off, oh, see, this one's barely coming out. You don't know if this is potable water or not. Typically, a good indication would say do not drink. But generally, if you have chlorination tablets, like we're going to show you how to use, you can fill up a water bottle with this water, and then I would still chlorinate it. I always chlorinate this type of water with your 2 drops of bleach per quart, or with your F-chlor tabs, or your aqua water tabs. So you can get water out of these things, but you know they're filthy because a lot of gross stuff happens in gas station bathrooms and in public bathrooms. And you also have molecules that are floating in the air from everybody's flatulence. And what do molecules like to do? They like to attach to wet surfaces like a wet water spigot. So just keep that in mind. And then the other thing that we see here is we see all this nice grass. So this is a big park. The sun's coming right at us, so I don't want Teddy to aim at the sun. But there's a whole bunch of grass here, and then in the grass they have the sprinklers, and sprinklers shoot up and they shoot everywhere. And that's very dangerous, because if you see water going through an irrigation canal and it's an outdoor surface water source, you already know, that might be kind of sketchy. But when you see water come out of a rainbird, and it's watering grass, and the grass is green, and everything looks like it's nice and pretty, like this grass over here to my right, you might think it's okay to collect water from that. A lot of the industrial irrigation systems use direct canal water or post-treated sewage water. That means it's not fit for human consumption. And I have made that mistake myself. You will get sick drinking that water. So if you don't know what the water source is, even if it comes out of a sprinkler head, that doesn't mean that it is safe to drink. The other kind of tip from the hip is I always carry a thing called a Sill Key with me. So a Sill Key is a tool that will allow you to access public water sources. So this one actually has a knob on it, which is very rare. Most of them have a kind of a weird looking one-way key, or like a thing, and you don't know really what the thing is, but it's something that you don't have. And they do that to keep homeless people from bathing in the water. So what you do is you mitigate that by getting yourself the same thing that the city has. So these will get into electrical panels, and most electrical panels, even the 440 and the 3-phase current ones, have 110 outlets in them, and they use those for modems or for other types of telemetry systems. So if you need 110 power, I don't recommend that you go into a public utility cabinet, because it's illegal and you don't want to get electrocuted. But there may be a reason someday why you may need to do that, right? So, if you drive an electric car and you need to charge it, well, this would be a good way to get some electricity. But really the most important thing is that Sill Keys will get you water from public sources, because most public places are very unfriendly to homeless people, obviously, because homeless people do things like defecate in the street. So a Sill Key is a good thing. And they also make these for traffic control devices, for elevators, for all kinds of different stuff. So we're not advocates of any kind of trespassing or vandalism or any kind of unauthorized access. But if you have a Sill Key and the sole purpose for having this is to get to a potable water source that you would otherwise not have access to, it's worth the $10 to buy one. So let's review. You can get water out of a public source, but it may not be potable. It's probably contaminated. We're going to show you how to use the F-Chlor or the Aqua tabs, which are sodium hypochlorate or calcium hypochlorate, I believe. Don't drink out of rainbird or sprinkler things, especially at golf courses, because generally they're just retreated surface water. They're not fit for human consumption. And realize that most of your public drinking fountain sources, which are gross and you do not want to drink out of here, but even if they did work, which these have been disabled because of COVID paranoia, you still have to always be mindful, because birds land on here. This is a bird bath, right? Bugs crawl up inside that spigot. There's all kinds of dirt and germs. So you don't want to be afraid of the dirt and germs. You just want to be aware of what the dirt and germs are and then know your countermeasures. So just because it looks safe doesn't mean it is. Trooper out. All right, guys, sorry, one more thing, and then we're going to wrap it up. So I always carry a little first aid kit, but what I wanted to show you, I always carry the little iodine and alcohol wipes, but this is what I wanted to show you here. I always carry a $10 roll of quarters and then a few bucks. I carry like $15 or $20 in ones, preferably ones and fives, and get the good ones, because you ever try to put a $1 bill in a machine and keep spitting it out? Well, that's what these are for. So get good $1 bills. I got a 10 wrapped up in here, and this is so if you have to get water from one of those sketchy water things, Aqua Water or whatever it is, in front of like CVS and Walgreens and Bashas and whatever, you have the quarters to do that. Also to get food out of snack machines, parking meters, whatever you need it for, right? So always have a roll of quarters, and you can use it as a weapon. So it has a multi-use. So, but just wanted to show that to you. And that's it. We're done with our water tour as far as identification, collection, exfiltration, and then returning back to base. So we've got that segment done. We're going to go with the straining and the chlorination and the coagulation, filtration, sedimentation, all those cool words. We're going to go through those after we get back, and probably tomorrow or the day after, because we have run out of daylight. All right, you know, it's just not in the cards that we're done with our video. So we have our pre-filter here we didn't get around to using, and we have this little vial, and inside this vial we have chunks of calcium hypochlorate, which is that 1 gram 73% NSF 61, which means drinking water rated chlorination. And we see that our chlorinated tablets are crushed up, and they're in this little vial, and that vial is now interacting with the humidity that's created inside this bag because this water filter is wet. That wetness inside of this hermetically sealed container is activating the carbon that's inside of this vial without actually getting the carbon wet, which would introduce too much chlorine gas into this microcosm. And all that chlorine now is binding with the water molecules that are basically in vapor form now, and then that is getting inside both sides of this filter, and that mild level of chlorine gas is keeping all of the bacteria at bay. So when we want to use this filter, we're going to go ahead and hook it up, and we're going to wait a couple seconds and flush out all of those chlorine molecules, and then this thing will be good to go. One of the biggest problems with inline filters is once you use them, they become bacterial factories because they have everything they need to get you sick. They have moisture, they have darkness, they have airflow, right? And they have a media, they have stability inside here, and they have oxygen, right? So you have water, oxygen, darkness, and moisture and airflow. So put the little chlorine vial in there, and the cap, you can see the cap is right here. That cap goes back on the chlorine vial when this thing is in stowage mode. So when we dry it out and we no longer need it, we're going to put it away. But this is what you do out in the field, because bacteria grows quickly out here when it's hot and moist. So just another little thing. And you can use this for emergency chlorination of water. I don't recommend it because it's really hard to measure it, but you could use it for other chlorinating activities, like putting it into water to wash your feet, and your hands and whatever, cleaning out vessels or containers, anything you want. So we have other chlorine in our kit for that, but I wanted to show you this vial, small amount of chlorine. It's in powder form. It's got a little tiny dripper dropper cap on it, and it's just providing just enough ambient chlorination to keep that bacteria at bay. So Trooper out. If you want to make sure you don't miss any of our new videos, click like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Trooper out.